All right, good morning. It is time for the CFL 26 season, week number 2 play along. So, tomorrow, the 2026 campaign of the CFL kicks off. I have already played week 1. Those videos can be seen on the channel. Week 1, quick recap: Edmonton on the road defeated Ottawa 31-27. Winnipeg on the road loses to Calgary 29-16. And Montreal versus Hamilton. This would be, the first game would have been Montreal-Hamilton. Montreal won on the road 32-17, 29-16 for Calgary, and then Edmonton would win 31-27. So that's week 1. It was done a while back, and I'm trying to kind of give myself a week ahead cushion. So I'm doing week 2 before the launch of the season, and that way, if I have scheduling issues, I won't get too far behind. I'm hoping I'll stay ahead a week all year. My new book still has not arrived. I have received tracking information that the book was shipped. It just hasn't arrived yet. So I'm going to continue using this time sports version to resolve the football games with a fast action deck for details. But when my new book gets here, the details and everything are in the book. So you'll see how that works, of course. All right, nothing completely new under the sun there. It's just now all in one book. But here we go. So let's go ahead and get in here to our score charts. And for the first game, Hamilton and Winnipeg. Let's go here. So Hamilton, B versus D. So Hamilton, B versus D should be B. So Hamilton is going to have a solid offense today. Winnipeg is A versus C. So A versus C is A. So this should be a little higher scoring. All right, Winnipeg gets to go first here on the charts. And again, Canadian football's changed a little bit. The fields are now the same length. The actual playing field's the same length as the American game. The end zones are still larger. And it's still 24 men on the pitch versus 22 men on the pitch. So I think the width of the field is still larger to accommodate those extra extra man on each side. So in that sense, it's still Canadian ball. It's just that they've shortened the field a little bit, and they've moved the goalposts to the back of the end zone. So, all right, Winnipeg's first drive of the game on the A chart is going to be a field goal. So how do they get the field goal? Again, this is just used to tell us data. 41-yard field goal. So Castillo will draw first blood with a 41-yard field goal for Winnipeg. Hamilton Tiger Cats go to work with Bo Levi, Mitchell, Augustine in the backfield. On the B charts is going to be a fumble. So Augustine will fumble, and Winnipeg goes to work for their second 3. Now you could flip this to look to see big hit by the DL, fumble recovered. So I could put a note in here, DL responsible for that big hit. So my DL, big hit. So whoever the big defensive lineman is for Winnipeg would get credit with popping him when the ball came loose. Now, not every card will have this data. So it could have said punt, and then we could ignore the punt, go with a fumble, because that's what I rolled, or we could go with a punt and ignore the fumble. Either way, it's a change of possession. Winnipeg rolled a 3 on the A charts. That's going to be a punt. So let's flip to double check that. It is a DL sack, turnover on downs. So on third and short, he gets sacked. So it's actually going to be a TOD, sack for the DL. So both defensive linemen, star defensive linemen, are playing great in this game. Again, I don't have the defensive lineman noted on the cards. I'm not familiar enough with them. But whoever you would consider in your Time Sports fictional universe to be your star DL, each team's star DL would have made big plays already for these teams. Hamilton, with the ball after a sack and a turnover on downs, has a moderate distance to go, but unfortunately, they will have to turn it over, and the turnover is a punt. So there's our punt. Now I'm going to make the roll here very simply on a punt. If I roll a 1, it's a rouge. No rouge scored, and that's how I'll handle rouges for the Canadian game. This will be a simple check against every punt or whatever. All right, so it's going to be 41. So Winnipeg's up 3-0 in the first quarter. Winnipeg goes back to work with the ball after the punt. They brought it out of the end zone, and they're going to get another field goal. This field goal, 35 yards. So Castillo, field goal, 35. So right now, Winnipeg getting the job done with drives deep into their territory and then booting field goals. Hamilton, 3. 3 is going to be a punt. Let's double check that. And it is indeed a punt. Now, you don't need cards. I do this because I like to track box score highlights and I like to know details. But the new book, the Big Country Sports 5th edition, coil-bound big book, will have charts to determine much of that stuff. Okay, so, well, not charts, but a couple of charts to determine that. Not to mention a full simulation for full gameplay. All right, Winnipeg goes to work after the punt. Is that a rouge, by the way? It is not a rouge. Here we go. Winnipeg goes to work. 3 on the A chart is going to be a punt. And it is indeed a punt, so we better check for a rouge. So Winnipeg will be forced to punt. 1, do they rouge? They do not, which is a little higher than normal, but it's okay for this because there's so few possessions. Hamilton goes to work after return. Oh my God, almost in my coffee. Turnover, and it is a DL interception. Holy cow. So Hamilton's quarterback, Mitchell, intercepted by the DL star. Oh my God. Winnipeg's DL picks. He's had a big hit that caused a fumble, and now he's had an interception. That is incredible. Winnipeg with a short field goes to work. 1, and they're going to turn. Wait, they are. No, it's well, we'll flip. It says turnover and down, so it's a turnover. And DB big hit, and it's going to be a punt. Does the punt result in a rouge? It does not. So it's going to be a big hit. So punt. DB gets a big hit. So you can imagine that was a catch. The DB popped him from behind. The ball came out. They ruled it incomplete, and they were forced to punt. But no points come out of that. My God, folks. Castillo gives Winnipeg a 6-0 lead. Bo Levi Mitchell has been picked off by the DL. Big hit by the DB, forced to punt by Winnipeg. Folks, this is nuts. It is 6-0 Winnipeg on a shorter field. So Canadian fans would be going, why the hell did we shorten the fields if it's not going to result in more scoring, right? Holy cow. Both these defenses are only a C and a D, but clearly the offenses haven't gotten it together. So at halftime, we're on the road here, Hamilton. Bo Levi Mitchell at quarterback, Augustine at running back, Lawler and Wheatfall are the top receivers. Leggio's their place kicker, and Wheatfall is doing the return duties right now, according to the information I have, until we start seeing real life. I will adjust this based on what happens in the real games. I'll know who the place kicker returners are, and I'll get a little better idea who's starting. Coach is Scott Milanovich. But we are in Winnipeg at the Blue Bombers. Caleros, the quarterback, Oliveira. Oliveira is the running back. White and Dansky are the top 2 receivers. Castillo is the place kicker. Dansky, I have again returning kicks, although I know these guys are probably not the normal guys. Mike O'Shea's their coach, and we are at Princess Auto Stadium in front of 33,000 some odd fans. Hamilton will get the ball to start the second half. They are down. Folks, 1 touchdown, and Hamilton will take the lead. 2 is going to be a punt. Punt is a linebacker big hit, turnover on down, so it's actually going to be a TOD, and I'm going with the TOD because in Canadian ball, they're going to go for it more on third downs, right? So again, it's probably a little more realistic that Hamilton would have driven it down and gone for it. So turnover on downs, but it will be stopped by a linebacker big hit. So again, whoever the star linebacker is for Winnipeg, Winnipeg's only a D defense, but their defensive lineman is having a record day, and their linebacker has now added a big hit, stuffing the quarterback on a rollout, trying to run for that first down. Winnipeg goes to work, and they're going to get another Castillo field goal, and that is 34 yards. Holy cow, Castillo. Field goal, 34. The hero of this game is Castillo. Hamilton gets the ball, goes to work, 6. Wait, that might be a touchdown. It is. Hamilton finally is going to get a halfback run. Augustine Augustine, 3-yard run TD, extra points accounted for. Augustine punches it in for Hamilton, and they are now going to be down by 2. That is the crazy thing. They've let Castillo kick themselves out of reach. Even though Hamilton gets the first game's touchdown, they're still behind now by 2. Winnipeg with the final drive of the third. 5, that's going to be a touchdown. Finally, Winnipeg gets it done with a 15-yard strike to Dansky. Collaros, 15-yard pass TD to Dansky. And it's already accounted for the PAT. And we've got 10 points for Winnipeg. And fans have waited all day for touchdowns finally to show up in this game in the third quarter. And now it's a little more exciting for those fans. All right, here we go. Hamilton starts the fourth quarter. Hamilton is going to turn it over. Turnover's a punt. That's right. Is it a ruse? No. Punt. Winnipeg with the lead takes over. Can they add to their lead? 3 is a punt. Maybe. Let's see. It is a DL sack and a punt. So they'll punt, and the DL defensive line records a sack. So you can see that is the star DL or just someone on the defensive line. So defensive linemen get a sack, and that's going to force the punt. So they might have gone for it on third down, but they got hammered on second. And Hamilton, his defensive lineman, has had a good day too, as he has had 2 sacks. Hamilton's defensive line has recorded 2 sacks today. Hamilton goes to work. 6, I think, is a touchdown for them. It is. Hamilton's going to score a touchdown. Pass. Hamilton's Bo Levi Mitchell. A 9-yard pass, TD2, and this is their flanker, who would be their SB, Wheatfall. PAT. Folks, it is a game. 14-16. It's back to 2 points. Winnipeg's final drive of the game. And 4, I think that's going to be something for Winnipeg. A touchdown. They're going to try to put this game out of reach. And it's going to be a Collaros run. Collaros, 2-yard run. PAT. Collaros holds onto the ball and punches it in. Hamilton goes to work on the final drive. 3 is going to be a turnover. That turnover is a linebacker intercepted. So Mitchell picked off. Intercepted by linebacker. Game ends with a Winnipeg defensive performance. Hamilton gets a touchdown, makes it 14-16, but Collaros puts the game on ice with a touchdown run of his own. 14, and we got 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Wow. Winnipeg. Did they win their first game? I believe they did they not? No, they're 1-1. So Winnipeg is 1-1 in my 2026 project. And Hamilton is going to be 0-2. Are you joking? Wow, Hamilton 0-2. What's up, Bo Levi Mitchell? Rough year for him, I think. Let's take a look. Bo Levi Mitchell fumbled the ball away and threw a 6-yard touchdown pass. And in this game, Bo Levi Mitchell, Augustine fumbled the ball away. Mitchell threw a pick in the second quarter, and he threw a touchdown here, and he also threw a pick in the game. So he's getting a little sloppy with the ball early in the season for Bo Levi Mitchell. Winnipeg is 1-1. Hamilton 0-2. All right, game number 2 on the schedule. I went through quite a few cards there, so we're going to have to shuffle my little mini deck. So I've had people comment on this. Years ago, when I first came back to tabletop sports gaming, I had not played a serious. I had a Stratomatic set that I played once or twice every year, solo by myself quietly. But outside of that, I wasn't playing tabletop sports games at all anymore. And I discovered pen and paper football. I've told this story before. By John M. Stater in 2017, discovered his paperback book and fell in love with the fast play career mode. And I wanted more details in the fast play, so I devised a FAC deck for our online league with all of my human owners, so we would have some exciting data and information that would kind of give us an idea of what was happening in the games, and also who was our stars, what quarterbacks were throwing touchdowns, and so I devised a little random fast action deck that would give us the details of why teams didn't score, why teams did score, who scored the points, who got sacked, and it was an incredible little addition to a fast play football game, and that's a score by quarter fast play game. So I've used something like this for many of my score by possession or score by quarter games. So I have 3 or 4 different decks. This happens to be the deck that was around when I started this project. It's not my best deck, but it is. I've got 4 or 5 decks like this. This just happened to be the deck that was in the cabinet when I started this project. All right, another good game done there. All right, game number 2 this week: Toronto at Montreal. Again, these two teams are pretty good offensively. Montreal an A offense and Toronto a B offense. So let's go ahead and get those numbers. Toronto B versus C. B versus C is B. So Toronto, again, with a good chance to score. Montreal A versus D is going to be A. Yep. So again, these teams should be scoring pretty well, but it's been a little, I would say it's been a little underwhelming early in the season, but again, not uncommon for offenses to start slow in pro football, as their offenses are the thing that require the most practice. Defense is very much going to be based on emotion, and it's going to be based on talent, speed. But very often for offense, it's there's some rust. You got to knock off the wheels before offenses start really gelling. Again, I'm rolling dice, so we know this is all can be understood narratively, but it's just about a balanced random die roll. All right, here we go. Montreal with the ball, get the ball first, and they have the A charts, and they're going to go 6. That's going to be a field goal, and the field goal is 41 yards. So I've shuffled them exactly into the same order. It looks like, no, I'm kidding. Montreal's Diaz with a 41-yard field goal. And Toronto now goes to work looking at the B charts. 1 is going to be a turnover on down. Well, we don't know. It's just a turnover. Turnover is a DL sack and a punt. I got turnover on downs here, but it says punt here. So we're going to go with what this says. And it is not a... so it's going to be a punt. And their DLs, defensive linemen, getting the job done early in the season. Montreal goes to work. Montreal, looking at the A charts, is going to be a touchdown. There we go. And it's going to be a run by Theus. Theus, a 6-yard run. PAT's good. Montreal draws first blood at home here at Percival Molson Memorial in front of 23,000 fans. Toronto is going to turn over again. And that turnover is turnover on downs. So we know Toronto's B, so it's fumble actually. Fumble. Big hit by linebacker. Big hit by LB. So we got these guys flying around, popping people. Ball is knocked loose. Probably the quarterback Arbuckle hit. Linebacker strips the ball, falls on it, dies right there, and that wraps up the first quarter. We get Montreal with 10 points. Toronto being shut out. Toronto with a B offense in this game. Montreal with an A offense in this game. All right, here we go. Montreal starting the second quarter. Montreal is going to punt. Yep, so we ignore that. It's a punt. But is it a ruse? I need a 1 to score a ruse. It is. So they're going to score a ruse. So Montreal boots this, and they cannot return it out of the end zone far enough. So there you have it. Toronto goes to work. 6 is going to be a touchdown. Toronto's going to get on the board with an 11-yard strike to Unger. Arbuckle makes up for his fumble, throws an 11-yard pass TD to Unger. PAT. We got a ball game. Montreal now wants to improve. They're going to turnover, punt, and it is indeed a punt. Is it a rouge? No, but they've already got 1. Toronto goes to work late in the second quarter. Touchdown. Uh-oh, it's getting interesting. 5-yard run by Mitchell. 5-yard run. And Toronto's made this interesting. Final possession for Montreal the first half. 4 is a touchdown, and that touchdown is a 23-yard strike to Stearns. Alexander with a 23-yard pass, TD to Stearns. PAT's good. All right, so Toronto scores. Arbuckle and Mitchell score 14 for Toronto in the quarter. And Montreal gets a rouge and a touchdown pass. So 8 points for Montreal. It is 18-14 at halftime. That's pretty sweet. Toronto and Montreal giving a hell of a day. We got 4 points different between the two. That means Toronto's got to make up, technically. Here we go. Toronto gets the ball to start the half. And they're going to score a field goal. And that's part of making up right there. It's going to be a 37-yard field goal for Hararulahu with a 37-yard field goal. Montreal gets the ball, goes to work. 5 for them on the A charts, correct? Yep, it's a touchdown. It's going to be a fullback run. I don't have the fullback listed, so I'm going to give it to Alexander. Alexander is going to scramble in for 4-yard run TD. PAT. They do have fullbacks in Canadian ball. They just don't play a lot, right? Toronto goes to work. They got to keep up the scoring. It's going to be a turnover. That turnover is a punt, but caused by a big hit by the linebacker. Punt. Is it a rouge? Nope. And it's a big hit linebacker. So again, that might have been a big tackle that stopped the first down run. It could have also been a big hit on a DB or on a receiver who dropped the ball, something like that. Montreal's final drive of the third, and Montreal 3 is going to punt maybe. In that, nope, it says linebacker, so we're going to go punt. I don't want to give away interceptions left and right in this. If I have a choice between punt or interception, punts are more common. And it's another rouge. Awesome, that is really cool. So Montreal has twice earned a rouge today, punting the ball where they can't return it out significantly. That is so cool. So that means they're punting where that ball is probably being fielded in the corner, right, deep, and they're trying to run that sucker out, and it ain't happening. That is so damn cool. So another rouge scored. So Montreal is going to score 8 again. And unfortunately, it is going to be 3 for Toronto. Folks, it's not going well. 26-17 starting the fourth quarter. Toronto has to get going. Toronto is going to score a touchdown, but they're going to miss the PAT. It's going to be a 92-yard return. Holy cow, that's sweet. So Toronto gets an Unger 92-yard kickoff return, or punt return, or something, right? 92-yard return, but they fail the PAT. Dang. Montreal goes to work. 5 is going to be a touchdown. Montreal won't let up. 7-yard touchdown pass to the running back. Alexander drops back, waits until Theus clears. 7-yard pass TD to Theus. PAT. Toronto now must start scoring. 5 is a field goal. That ain't going to help. 35 for Harahulahu. A 35-yard field goal. Montreal goes to work to wrap this game up. It will be a turnover of sorts. Big hit, fumble recovered. So defensive line. So we're going to call this a fumble. It makes sense that they hit him and strip him, maybe trying to run the ball on second and short. DL, big hit, fumble recovery. So the defensive line for Toronto makes a big play. And here it is, Toronto's final drive. It's going to be a turnover. Turnover on downs, linebacker big hit. So they go for it on third and short, trying to get into the end zone. And the linebackers get a big hit. Wow. And that's going to wrap up that game. Let's close up my book. Man, so Unger scores for Toronto. 6. Haralu 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 points for Toronto in the fourth. Montreal gets 7 and a turnover. But that ain't going to be enough for Toronto. Holy cow, we got 23-26. 26 for Toronto. Montreal 26. 33-26. Montreal now Montreal won their first game 32-17. They win this one 33-26. Montreal 2-0, folks. For those following along, Toronto didn't play in week 1. No, so they're 0-1. Toronto 0-1. I could have swore they did. No. So week 1 they did not play. Wow, what a game. So Montreal's leading the league in scoring 32-33. They're averaging 32 or what? 30. They're averaging 31.5 points a game or 32.5 points a game. And we actually saw a couple of rouge by the Montreal punter. Was able to create rouges with high booming punts into the very back edge, very back center, I would assume, maybe quarters of the end zone, in which they could not get it out of the end zone before the coverage wrapped them up. That is so cool. All right, so very simply, when I miss a field goal, which we haven't seen a lot of missed field goals yet, but when you miss a field goal or you have a punt, you can just simply roll a percentage to see if it ends up a rouge, right? So it's super easy to do. All right, third game of this morning's triple header. Again, this is week 2 of my pre-play or my play-along with the 2026 Canadian League. Again, the Canadian League's changed significantly in the offseason, some rules. So let's go ahead and shuffle. If you do a bigger deck, you won't repeat a lot of things. So like that 92-yard kick return, unfortunately, this is a smaller deck, so that big return could show up again. Ideally, if you know you're going to play out like a whole week's games, you want a big enough deck that you won't repeat a lot of performances. I don't mean in scoring, that's going to come off the charts, but I mean you wouldn't see a lot of the same distance passes, etc. if you make a bigger deck. This was designed for those score by quarters, in which even if it's a big quarter of scoring, you're only going to flip 2 or 3 cards in a quarter. As it is now, for every possession, I'm flipping a card to see what the result is. So if you're going to do this for a possession base, you want a bigger deck of fast action cards for results, I think. And you can customize the deck to resemble the real pass and run percentages of scoring in the Canadian League or the American League or your high school, college. If there's, you're playing 1958, you can customize the deck for how often touchdowns are thrown versus runs are made or something, by just simply putting in a percentage of run touchdowns to pass touchdowns in your deck to resemble the appropriate era of football. All right, of course, your scoring charts can be customized too if you make similar scoring charts. All right, so we got the BC Lions, coached by Buck Pierce, Rourke at quarterback, Butler, one of my favorite backs in the whole league, at running back, McInnes and Katoy are the top receivers. White's the place kicker, and Katoy's doing the return duties. This team is an offense B, defense C. However, they're at Saskatchewan Rough Riders. This team was really good last year. Harris at quarterback, Oulet at running back, Johnson and Emulus are the top receivers. Hughes is the place kicker, and again I have Emulus doing the Emilius, I don't know. Anyway, we're doing the returning duties. They're a BB. Corey Mace is their coach, and they are in front of 33,350 at Mosaic Stadium. What a great name, Mosaic Stadium. And I love the colors. I love this green and white. Saskatchewan. BC's got great uniforms, black and orange. Very cool. All right, so let's go ahead and get BC's numbers. B versus B. They're going to be B versus B. They're going to be a C today. Saskatchewan, B versus C. B versus C is B today. So Saskatchewan retains their overall ratings. And here we go, folks. BC gets the ball first. I already did the coin flips. So, all right, BC 2 on the C chart. It's not going to be good. It's going to be a turnover. That turnover is going to be a missed field goal. So here's our chance. Oh, no, there is no rouge on the missed field goal now. So one of the changes in Canadian ball, once they move the goalpost to the inline, a missed field goal can no longer have a chance to be returned out of the end zone. So they no longer score rouges on missed field goals. If you were playing old school Canadian ball, you would have to determine if that's a rouge. As it is right now, White is going to fail that kick. White with a 46-yard missed field goal. Saskatchewan takes over. And they're going to go fumble, maybe, turnover, basically. The turnover is a 36-yard missed field goal. Holy cow, what's up with you two? Hughes, 36-yard missed field goal. So both place kickers start rough here for this third game of the week. BC goes to work. They're going to have to turn over. The turnover is a punt. Is it a rouge? No, but we do punt. So we're going to have another low-scoring first quarter here, folks. Saskatchewan, with the final drive of the first 5 on the B charts, is a field goal. This time, Hughes makes it 32 yards. He'll get fired. Hughes, 32-yard field goal. BC 0, Saskatchewan 3. BC starts the second quarter. They go to work. It's going to be 4. 4 on the C charts is a field goal, so they're going to tie it up, folks, with a 27-yard field goal. My God. So 22. So they can't. That would be a 29-yarder would be because we got to add 22. Oh, no, add 22. Yeah, from the 5-yard line. So they kicked this. So BC decides instead of going for it, they're going to tie the game with a 27-yard field goal. That would be a kick from the 5-yard line, adding 22 for the end zone and the spot of the ball. They kicked that from the 5. Saskatchewan, that's a moral victory for the defense as they forced BC into taking the cheap points. How about them apples? And they're going to be turning it over, though. Punt. Is it a rouge for Saskatchewan? It is not. BC goes to work. 3 on C is a turnover. That turnover is a turnover on down. So this time BC goes for it. Again, that means it tells me it's probably too far to kick. So they went for it on like 3rd and 2 and didn't get it. Linebacker sack. Outstanding play by Saskatchewan's best linebacker, who would have come rushing in there to sack the quarterback, scrambling for his life, trying to convert a 3rd and 2 or something. Saskatchewan with the ball at midfield. 2, and they're going to turn over. The turnover for them is a 40-yard missed field goal. Saskatchewan drives it down to the 18, and Hughes, 40-yard missed field goal. Saskatchewan, what is going on? BC with the final drive of the half. What a great game. 1, they're going to turn over, and it's a linebacker interception. Holy cow. Rourke drops back, doesn't see the linebacker underneath, and he's going to come through and pick that ball off and take a knee or maybe race down the sidelines, but time expires. So BC's going to get a field goal. They're going to turn over on downs, and they're going to throw a pick. So BC tied the game at 3-3. My God. And Saskatchewan with a punt and a missed field goal. Folks, it's 3-3 at halftime. You kidding me? But again, Saskatchewan's defense pretty dang good. BC's not bad. See. Okay, Saskatchewan gets the ball. Kickoff coming out of the tunnel. And they're going to end up turning ball over. It's going to be a punt with a big hit. The punt results in a no rouge punt, and it's a defensive lineman. Big hit makes that play. So again, whoever your DL is, you can determine which guy makes a big hit that would cause them to choose to punt. And that big hit could come on a hit of the quarterback, or it could come on a hit on a receiver or a running back trying to get out of the backfield. BC takes over. 3, they're going to punt. And they are going to punt. Do they score a rouge? You know, wouldn't it be funny if the game is won on a rouge? No, nobody gets the rouge yet. Saskatchewan. Oh, they're going to turn over. Here it says fumble, but we're going to look. DL sack and a fumble loss, so it's going to be a fumble. So the quarterback for Saskatchewan, Harris, fumble. And why? Because the defensive line made a sack, and they stripped the ball from Harris. Ball loose. BC with a short field. Oh, and they're going to turn over, and it is a interception on the chart. So we're going to go with the interception. That's going to be Rourke with his intercepted. I'd have to roll on the charts to see who picks it off. Intercepted, we're going to say DB. There's got to be a DB back there picking it off. Folks, you've got to be kidding me, but it is a 3-3 ball game going into the 4th quarter. What the heck's going on? So when people talk about how can this little chart be dynamic enough, well, you tell me. I've got 33-26. I've got going into the 4th quarter a 3-3 game. This little chart creates unbelievably dynamic football because the biggest reason is the matchups, ratings, but because this die is linear, it's balanced, there's no curve here. And so, again, the curve is in the results, is represented in the probabilities of a result occurring. But the point is, a lot of people would just say this is absolutely, you can't get enough joy out of this. The hell you can't. It creates quite a bit of dynamism. All right, Saskatchewan starts the fourth quarter. What are they going to do? 5. Saskatchewan on the B chart is going to get a field goal. Dang, but finally somebody, 37 yards for Hughes. So Hughes has had a rough day. He has to make that field goal to get confidence back from his coach, Corey Mace, because if not, there might be some grumbling around the Saskatchewan radio stations on Monday morning. Snap the ball, 5. BC Lions, 5 on C. Touchdown. BC finally gets in the end zone on a pass to the halfback, Butler. Boy, is that straight up true. Rourke, 7-yard pass to Butler. Butler's one of those guys that fights like hell for yardage. He is one of those guys you don't want to lower your head and tackle. Butler, 7-yard TD pass. PAT's good. Oh my God, folks, we got a game. 10-6. BC has stolen the lead in the fourth quarter from Saskatchewan. Can Saskatchewan take it back? 4 on B is a touchdown, miss PAT. Touchdown is a 22-yard run by Oulet. Oulet, 22-yard run, but fail PAT. Oh my God, we got us a great fourth quarter. BC's final drive. 5 on C. Touchdown, BC. 11-yard strike to Cotoy. Rourke finally finds his man. 11-yard pass TT to Cotoy. PAT is good. This is it. Final drive of the game. Saskatchewan, let's see here. Saskatchewan has 9 points. And that's 14. Rourke with 2 touchdown passes in the fourth. 14. It's 17 to 12. 17 to 12. Saskatchewan needs a touchdown to win. And Saskatchewan needs to roll a 4 or a 6 to win this ball game on the final drive. 1. They're going to turn over, folks. And the turnover is a defensive back interception. Harris intercepted by DB. And that makes sense. Trying to drive down late. They're going to throw a pick up for grabs. Wow. Here at Mosaic Stadium, fans look on watching BC make a huge comeback. Saskatchewan scores 9 points in the fourth, but not to be outdone by Rourke's 2 touchdown passes, 14 points in the fourth, 17 to 12. Low scoring. BC now, folks. On the season. They didn't play in the first week, so the BC is 1-0. Fans be very excited waiting into week 2 to get this result. And Saskatchewan, that was their first game. They're 0-1. Holy cow. Brilliant fun. This little football time version and a deck of fast action cards. And we can see the whole drama unfold. Both White and Hughes missed field goals early. Punt, and then Hughes made the field goal to end the first, giving them a 3-0 lead. BC drives down, takes a chip shot field goal from 5 yards out, to the grumbles of fans listening and watching on TV, as they don't want to see it settling for field goals at the 5. But it turns out it's going to give them the points they need to win this game. The punt by Saskatchewan, a turnover and downs after a linebacker sack. Saskatchewan, Hughes misses a 40-yard field goal. Hughes, again, has already missed 2. He's made 1, so he's 1 of 2 right now. 1 of 3. No, 1, 2. Yeah, 1 of 3. 2 of 3. No, 1 of 3. My God. Hughes having a rough day. And O'Rourke, though, throws a pick to the linebacker of Saskatchewan, shutting down the first half, 3-3, in an absolute dogfight. We get a punt by Saskatchewan, a punt by BC. Saskatchewan's Harris fumbles the ball on a DL sack. And Rourke is picked off by the DB, holding BC in contention. And I'm telling you right now, folks, this would have been like a heavyweight fight where you're covering up at just the right time. And these defenses keeping their teams in it. I mean, this quarter looks like defenses that are fighting like hell to not give up the losing score. But then the fourth quarter becomes important. Saskatchewan hits that field goal at 37 this time. Hughes gets a pat on the back from coaching staff as he finally gets right. BC's O'Rourke, though, completes a drive, 7-yard pass to Butler, who rumbles down the sidelines. I can imagine runs somebody over at the goal line. PAT's good, and we got a ball game. Saskatchewan Zule rips off a 22-yard run, baby. But their PAT by Hughes fails. Poor Hughes. I mean, I'm not kidding. If this was a career-based fictional game, I'm making a roll between weeks to see if they replace Hughes. This is a horrific performance by Hughes. Rourke gets an 11-yard touchdown pass to Katoy. They make their PAT, and folks, at this point, fans are very nervous. Saskatchewan's Harris, though, with the ball, they know he's capable of driving him down the field and winning this game in the final stanza. But no, star DB from BC Lions pick off Harris to wrap up the game, and it ends 17-12 in the best game of the week. Thanks for watching, folks. This has been the Canadian Football Play-Along, week number 2, using the Time Sports version of Football Time. These teams are also rated for my Parallax Football. I just have not been in the mood yet to play a full game of the football. And I may not use Parallax Football much in this pre-play. I'll probably use Football Time, especially with my new Big Country Time Sports book coming. That book is meant to be, that is my flagship book. It's the book, it's all the games the way I want to play them, the way I hope people will enjoy them. So most likely, when that book arrives today or tomorrow, this will be retired, and I will play most of this Canadian games with my Big Country version of the game, because I can play a full game of football out, an instant result game. I can play a possession base, which is the base way to play. And I won't necessarily need this fast action deck because I have charts to tell us how the turnovers occur and how the touchdowns occur. So everybody have a wonderful weekend. Good luck to all the Canadian football fans out there. I hope your team wins this weekend. I'm going to be watching the highlights. I haven't yet figured out how I can watch the games live. There is an app, but I haven't been able to get the app to work. So I would love to watch Canadian football live. It's brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant football. All right, everybody, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.